Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Charles. You can also address me as Juror number 11. I'm posting this on here, so this is not my normal thing on my channel. I'm too lazy to make a separate channel and put something on there, but most of the stuff that I cover on my channel is going to be surplus, vintage surplus, outdoor type of things like that. And I only have 200 followers anyway. If you're not watching me for those, you're just watching me because I put this thing about online jury, and then you'll be bored with all the other stuff I do on my channel. But I just wanted to let you know I do live in near Seattle, Washington, in King County, and King County Superior Court sent me a summons to for jury notice, and I wasn't really excited. I mean, I do think that obviously I served with the Marines, and I believe in the country and supporting things like that, but I would admit that I was not excited to see this jury notice summons. What made it different this time, though, is because of COVID, they're doing things differently. So I had to register online, so it wasn't just sending out that card to the court, and then they send me more information. It was all just log in online. Once I got online, I had to do, I had to answer some questions, an online questionnaire, things like that. They'll ask you if you're ever convicted of, crime or things like that. What your experience is, if I've been party of any type of legal action like that. So what would I say? Why? You might be asking, why does jury duty suck? Well, I guess my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is maybe you own your own business. My wife is a owner of a salon, and she's already getting killed by the COVID thing. So this really would have hampered her ability to get money during COVID, where she's already hampered with 25%. So in that case, it kind of stinks. Number two, maybe your work relies on you, and so you have to be there, right? Like my work, so they didn't give me enough notice. I work in the city of Seattle, and over there they require that you know what you're working for 3 weeks ahead of time. Okay, so I got this notice with about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks max notice. At least when I got it, it was about 2 weeks. So my schedule was already written out. And my work does pay for jury duty, but the main thing is that they only do that during the days where I am already scheduled. So it's kind of frustrating for me because last week when I'm in court, I was supposed to have 2 days off, which was on Tuesday and Wednesday. I didn't get those days off because I was in court. So it's kind of, don't look forward to stuff like that. I mean, I want to decompress and relax. So that's kind of what sucks about it. Also, they only pay you $10 a day. So, if you're already, if you're losing money, what's $10 going to do? Although I did say I do want to get paid for it. So where's my money? I haven't got that back yet. I paid taxes, God damn it. And I did my service. That $70 or whatever, it's not gonna do much for me, but that's just my point is, just pay me for it. When am I going to get that? Also, at my work, since my schedule is already written, they couldn't really adjust much to cover my absence during there. So it kind of was overworking the people that work for me. I'm on the management team at a big box retailer, and so it was kind of tough for them to cover that stuff. And then I had to come back and try to run the business, my little business, my section of it at this employer. I probably could have gotten out of that. Well, maybe not gotten out of it, but I know that they would have delayed it for me. But I was like, whatever, I'll just bite the bullet and take care of it. They probably wouldn't have let me go. But who knows? I didn't try it. Why would this possibly be interesting to be on the jury? Like I said, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but at the same time, it was kind of interesting to me. Just kind of really see how things work. Maybe feel like I'm helping out, doing my duty, and things like that. This experience actually was kind of interesting. There are some flaws on the way everything was done, but in general, I think it was a positive experience. And then hopefully this gets me out of doing jury duty for a while, but who knows? I don't know what else I could say on that. I mean, some of the people I work with are like, oh, that's so great, I always wanted to do it. But I would say 75% or more outwardly we're saying, oh God, I can't believe it, and maybe they just sense my mood and they were just agreeing with that, and maybe they actually want to do it. But from my perception, most people don't want to do it, and there are some people that do want to do it. And if I was unemployed or something like that, maybe it'd be something I would do, because I'm not doing anything anyway. I don't know, but I do work, and thank God I do have a job. So how did this all work? So anyway, they sent me a selection card. So unlike the first time when I was selected, at that time I had to go to the court. I had to do their questionnaire there, and I had to talk to the attorneys in person for the plaintiff or the defendants. But the new ones are you have to go online and do the questionnaire online. If you go past that and they go more through the selection, and then they end up giving you like a Zoom meeting, so you can talk to the counsel for the plaintiff and the defense. I guess, so what's the benefit of Zoom? Good thing is, I didn't have to go to court, so I guess that was kind of cool. I didn't have to go to Kent, which is, I'm going to say about 15 miles away in an area that's heavily congested even during COVID. So it'd be a real pain. Probably take me 25 minutes at least to get there, park, probably 30 minutes to get into the courtroom. That's at a minimum. If it's really bad, it could be 45 minutes to an hour. So I guess that's what's kind of cool. As long as Zoom is working well and everybody who's attached to it they're connected very well, that's a good platform. So what's the downside to the Zoom? I'd say technology stinks. So, one example is, for me, I have a 5-year-old Microsoft Surface, and the battery on it died 2 times during a 1.5 weeks. I should have just kept it the charger on there the whole time. But the first time it died out, said it had like 20% battery left, and then all of a sudden it just cut off immediately. So that stinks. Second time it was at like 45%. So I thought, oh, I'll try this again, but I'll be more careful and watch this. And it just died. So that's more my fault. Maybe I should have just kept the thing plugged in, because I didn't have any other problems as long as I kept that thing plugged in. What else is wrong? So sometimes you're sitting there waiting for other people that have connectivity problems. So their Wi-Fi sucks or something like that. So when you lose one of the jurors or the console for one of the parties, then you have to wait. And so kind of, maybe this thing could have concluded faster. So I had one day where they were selecting me that I used. And then the next day, a couple days later, they were just doing their opening. I don't even know what it's called. See, I'm not a lawyer or something like that, so I don't know all these legal names. So anyway, whenever they're starting the trial, and they're talking, each counselor was talking about their party and things like that, what's going on. So that took an entire day, and then we had a recess until the following. That was on a Friday, so then until Monday. And then from Monday through Saturday, we did all of the testimonies, evidence, and what else? Things like that during those days. And on Friday, that final Friday, that's where we had deliberations, which can last longer. Just depends on what's going on. And this is the first time that I actually went into court. The first time when they asked me to do it, I got out of it. I was just talking to those attorneys, and I was like the opposite of whatever they wanted. If they didn't want you to arrest somebody or lock them up, I was like, let's lock them up. I believe in it. And, if it was the opposite way, I'd be like, oh, let's let them free. Give them a chance. Anyway, on the Zoom thing, I guess the problem with the Zoom too is there's so you got like these windows. So we had at least 16. No, we had about 20 windows going because we had 16 jurors. So you had the 12 jurors plus 4 alternates, and we didn't know who was who until after right before deliberations. And I kind of wish that I was one of those. But I wasn't. I wasn't an alternate. And you're trying to watch all this, and I know they have different tabs on the Zoom and things like that, so you can focus in on whoever's talking or what's presented. Sometimes I was able to figure it out, but I did know that some of the jurors could not figure that out just because they've never had any exposure to that at all. And then some didn't even have that ability because there was one juror that was using their phone. So when they're using this app, I guess that all they could see is whoever was speaking, or there's no selection on what you're looking at. There was no multi panels on there or whatever was going on. Problem with that too is, how do you get addressed? I mean, the court was fine if you're trying to raise your hand and wave or something like that. They make sure that you're waved to make sure you're connected. If there was some kind of problem, you could let people know. But I mean, sometimes you didn't know. Maybe you're talking and they're like, yeah, we can't hear you. And maybe you can't even hear them. So that was some of the problems. This process may have happened faster if we didn't have to rely on Zoom and all these different people with different stuff. What else here? it was kind of weird. I mean, I guess you don't connect as much sometimes when a witness or testimony's going on and things like that. For oh yeah, what is here? Let's talk about this. So this is Sanjuana Rios versus Normandy Park Assisted Living. So this is completed, so I can let you guys know exactly what this is and talk about it. So that was not the case during the thing. But anyway, I guess in some ways you lose a lot of that, I don't know, emotion or things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. So the different counsels were trying to, play the violin while these people are talking, right? And having them, so the plaintiff was a very nice lady, and she's talking about, all the stuff she does and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I just wasn't buying it, but that's just the way I am. But there was other jurors that thought, what a sweet woman, and blah, blah, blah. She needs, she needs this, she needs that. But also, you couldn't really convey a lot of stuff, when I guess where Zoom really fails is in deliberation. So, because you've got all these people on a Zoom meeting, and so they can't see all of the nonverbal communication, things like that. What was interesting about this? Like we had an expert witness, Jeff Renner, that was for the defendant, and if you're from the Seattle area, then you'd know about him. He was hired by the defendants, and he was the what would you call that? Forensic meteorologist. Which there's no real title of that, but that was a thing that he was doing. I thought it was kind of interesting or funny or something like that, and I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't know. I guess listening to him, I liked what he said, and to me, he seemed impartial and was just presenting the facts on weather data from that time and reading it to us and things like that. So this was a slip and fall type of situation where the plaintiff claimed that they fell on black ice and broke their wrist. Non-dominant wrist, so their left wrist, and then end up having some other complications after that. The plaintiff was able to still do everything that they did before, albeit not as, I don't know. So this person was 65 years old at that time, and I think she's now, 68, 69 years old. And I don't know. In my opinion, she wasn't going to be working that much longer. I thought it was kind of ridiculous on how much the plaintiff's counsel wanted $4 million. Obviously, defendant didn't want to do anything, but then he said, "Well, if you think there's something, maybe 200,000, whatever." I was more like, just don't give her anything. But the way at least these civil, this specific civil trial, we only needed 10 out of 12 to pass, or what would you call it? Just do a verdict. So I was pretty much one of the two main people against this as far as giving a lot of money, although at the same time I understood that maybe we got to come to some kind of consensus and just get this over with so we can get out of here. And that's what I don't like about the Zoom too is, number one, you don't have this kind of, if you're actually in a group close to each other and closer, you could be 6 feet apart or whatever in a little plexiglass cubicle or something like that. But at least you can kind of see somebody else like that. Maybe somebody, you could be a little more persuasive or something like that. You know what I mean? Some people have a voice. Now, what's good about the Zoom too, though, is there was one juror, a female, was saying that, well, she thought it was great because she didn't feel like she was intimidated by, other people, maybe men. I'm not like a big guy, but I'm about 6 feet tall, 200 and some odd pounds, right? And so, she might be a shorter person or something like that. So I guess in some ways that's a good way. In other ways, though, like I said, I would have been sitting there and be like, not it. We're not going this way. So I did end up kind of agreeing in the end. And, but I threw my what I thought was right. And so, they gave us all these rules. Okay, so look at this. This is like a little book of the rules. So they sent it to us, and I decided to print it, but I didn't notice that it was like 21 pages, something like that. It's ridiculous. So that's just normally what happens in a case. But yeah, so. I've never done this before, and so I didn't understand all these. They explain it, but some of it's, it's not just regular type of words and things like that. But I don't know. So then we had the verdict form, and so it basically says, like, the question 1, was the defendant negligent? So you say yes or no. And then if you say yes to question 1, you go to question number 2. If you say no, you're just saying, well, they didn't do anything, so just don't give them any money. If you say yes, that means, you're going to start from something at $1 plus. But it wasn't really, the other jurors didn't seem to figure that out. And so, and I felt there was a small amount of negligence from the defendant. So I said yes, just knowing that you'll go on to the next question. And I think everybody said yes on this one. On question number 2, though, was the defendant negligence a proximate cause of injury or damage to the plaintiff? And it's a yes or no. So I think there was one or two people that said no. And if you said no, you just go and sign this verdict, which means that the defendant is 100% viable for it. So like that attorney for the plaintiff wanted $4 million. And all this wording, they even explained it in there, but if you don't really explain in layman's term to people, they don't understand this. So I know there's at least one juror that said no, which means you just go to the end of this and you sign this thing. And you're basically saying that whatever the plaintiff wants, you're agreeing to all of that. And you're not really supposed to go to the next one. So I was trying to explain that to the people. And I was asking questions too, because I was like, well, if I say yes, then that means you can go to question number 3. If you say no, you're not supposed to go to the next one. I don't know. So maybe, I don't think everybody understood that. And I was like, okay, if this means yes, then yes. So what is number 3? What do you find to be the amount of plaintiff's damages? Do not consider the issue of plaintiff's negligence, if any, and your answer. So they put the economic damages, which was $86,000 for this. The plaintiff had 2 surgeries during that time, and that was already taken care of, I guess. I don't know. And then basically, what's the past and future non-economic damages? I was like 400,000 max in my thing. I was like 200 to 400. So we had someone that had a spreadsheet at that time, was putting these in. So then she just averaged it as like 300,000. But there's a lot of people going up to like $2.4 million, which I was like, really? Come on. She's not going to be working that much longer. She only worked there for 6 months. She can do everything she wants. I was already doing, has all the same friends. So it's not affecting those things. It is affecting, quality of life to a point, but you can just adapt and overcome. That's what, I've had brain surgery. I've had a heart surgery. I had a freaking stroke. I've broken some bones in my right hand, which is my dominant hand, when I was in high school. Yes, that was over 30 years ago. But I adapted and learned to write with my left hand during that time until I healed. And so I was just like, whatever, adapt to overcome. And so, maybe that's kind of a dickish thing, but whatever. That's the way I was voting. But luckily, they averaged it, and we said $1 million. Then it goes to the next one. Was the plaintiff also negligent? We all ended up saying yes. So when you say that, it's like it goes to number 5, which was the plaintiff's negligence a proximate cause of the injury or damage to the plaintiff? We said yes. And so once you do that, it says assume that 100% represents the total combined fault. See, I'm just so stupid. Fault that proximately caused the plaintiff's injury or damage. What percentage of this 100% is attributable to the plaintiff's negligent, and which percentage of this 100% is attributable to the negligence of the defendant? Your total must equal 100%. So I was more like a 50-50, so the plaintiff said that they saw a sheen on the parking lot when they came into work. And so I'm thinking, well, duh, then you got to be careful. And so I was thinking maybe 50-50. There was another juror that was close to that, and there may have been a third one. But yeah, most of the people were saying no, it's more like 10-90, 20-80 type of thing. But we ended up doing an average on that, which I didn't really agree with. But at the same time, I was like, let's just get this stuff over. And I don't think that people quite understood that, we averaged at 25% for the plaintiff, 75% for the defendant, which means that the $1 million that we had consensus on would actually be $750,000 if you subtract the 25%. But I wasn't going to say anything about this until we're giving all this stuff to the judge. So that was this kind of the scary thing too, is, like I said, not everybody understands all these words, and we didn't have like a whole lot of time to do this, and then this would have dragged on or whatever, but I was just going along with stuff and trying to just, let's get out of here, even though it's more than I thought this person deserved. But that's kind of the problems too is, I don't know if there's a good explanation. I mean, you can give us all these explanations on these rules, but unless you really know all the legal terms, this doesn't mean a whole lot. It's actually can be kind of confusing. It doesn't matter. So I agreed with it, and then the judge asked each, the lead juror, and then every juror, did the jury, what was the question? Did the jury agree that, that they were negligent? It was yes. And do you think so? I forget what it was. But anyway, the point is that I was going to be one of the no people along with the other person that was saying no. But they don't call you in order exactly by number. They just call you however they see it, whatever. But before I got there was already like a second person that said no. Then I'm like shitting bricks thinking, oh my God, if we have a third one, this might send it back into deliberation again. So like when they came to my thing, I'm like, did the jury decide on this? I was like, yes. And do you agree with this? And I was like, yes. In my mind, I'm thinking no. And I swear there's at least one that before had said yes and then said no and whatever. So I was like, I'm just going to say yes. And there was the other juror that was thinking similar to me was like one of the last ones, and they came on and also said yes, although I think they were thinking no in their mind too. But we just wanted to get this thing done because it was at the end of the day, right before court was gonna stop. I know, I said I don't really know all these legal things. I'm sorry about that. If you lasted this long, that's fucking ridiculous. But I appreciate it. If you guys have some kind of questions or something, you can put comments or questions on there. I will reply as soon as I can. If you want more information or contact or something like that, just put it down there on the comments. You have a good one.